I just wanted to share some thoughts on the idea that many have where they assert that before you can find happiness in someone else, you need to find happiness with yourself first. Now, what is the problem with this idea? Well, when someone gives such advice, the implication is that they believe a person is able to be happy by themselves. Well, that simply might not be possible at all for certain people. Now, hopefully, this is obvious, but when a person desires the companionship of another, they desire that because there are certain experiences that they want to have with this other person in their life that they cannot have alone. To them, these experiences are what makes them happy. So when you tell such a person they need to be happy with themselves, it doesn't really make any sense because it's not possible for them to be happy alone. How could they be happy if what makes them happy is being with another, which happens to be quite normal, by the way? This is what you need to respect, and it's not your place to dictate to them what they need to find fulfillment in. Now, if you're going to insist on telling somebody that they need to be happy with themselves first, you might want to first prove that's even possible. Because if you can't prove that, then it's a bit cruel and irrational to tell the person to do something they cannot do. Now, someone might argue, well, if you need to find happiness in someone else, that puts a lot of pressure on that other person to make you happy. And what happens if you never find anyone in your life? You're going to be miserable. This doesn't actually prove that one can find joy without others. All it does is state some of the risks and consequences of needing another person to make you happy. Well, I'm going to give a parallel example. Imagine if I said to you, you need to learn to be happy without eating food. Because if you don't learn how to do that, what's going to happen if you run into a situation where you don't have any food? So you're going to feel bad and eventually starve and die. See, this is why you need to learn to be happy without food. Now, what's the problem with my reasoning? Well, I'm not actually proving that it's possible to live without food at all. I'm not dealing with the fact that you can't live without food. All I'm doing is drawing attention to the consequences of not being able to live without food. Likewise, when one argues that you shouldn't base your happiness on others because you will end up depressed when you don't have anybody, that doesn't actually prove it's possible to be fulfilled without a special someone in your life. It doesn't explain away the established fact that most normal people desire and require companionship in some form for optimal mental health. Now, what's the point of all this? Well, when you encounter someone who is lonely and who is unhappy, who is looking for someone to love, please avoid telling them to be happy by themselves. People who are lonely typically need sympathy and affirmation for their loneliness, and they may need practical advice in finding and connecting with others. But what they don't need is to be told to try to find fulfillment and joy while they're in their lonely state. Rather than be helpful, such words can be a bit cruel, irrational, and can be quite destructive. Thank you, and please feel free to comment, and have a good day.